With that, Luis, if you would, please state your name, whom you represent, and you have 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Birdwell. My name is Luis Figueroa. I'm the Legislative and Policy Director for Every Texan, formerly the Center for Public Policy Priorities. We are in opposition to this legislation and wanted to give a little background. So you may know I was a voting rights attorney for 10 years with the Mexican American Legal Defense Fund. I've written articles related to election laws and law journals. I have done election protection since going back to 2005. And I was a Senate staffer behind you many times in these hearings and have provided invited testimony to this body and the House. And I just wanted to give a few facts. I'm glad I'm clean up. I'm not sure why I got marked on as non-testifying. But what I learned in all of these years, as you try to find that balance between access and security, which is ultimately what you all are trying to do in this legislation, number one, you can't ignore the history of discrimination. When Nina Perales and Gary Bledsoe suggest that there may be discriminatory impacts, I sincerely suggest you take it seriously. They have a 20-year track record on looking at those types of issues in litigation, in policy, and they've been pretty accurate over those years. We know that Texas has experienced white primaries in the past, poll taxes. We know Waller County and in Prairie View has often prevented young African Americans from voting. The voter ID legislation of 2011 was found to be in violation of both Section 5 and Section 2, and redistricting we have found internal discrimination. So we know there's a history there, so that's why we got to err on the side of access more than security in certain cases. Secondly, data matching is very risky and unreliable. We know that citizenship matches are not always the most up-to-date when you're relying on DPS data, particularly when people naturalize after they've gotten their driver's license. Same thing for citizenship rolls on the jury rolls. Sometimes they get their citizenship after they've served on the jury. So you may not have the most accurate data there. I've learned in the voter ID litigation that data matching is very difficult. Thirdly, voter turnout is oftentimes a bigger issue than voter integrity. Texas has ranked in the bottom 15 in voter turnout, and so I suggest we err in the favor of access in that respect. And lastly, since we're a tax and budget issue, I just wanted to highlight the economic impact that the Perryman report talked about, the $14.7 billion potential impact if we have if we have voting that is discouraged and we have lower voter turnout over the years. This can have a huge impact on the economy and businesses in Texas that are thriving. So really appreciate you all sticking around, listening to me, and giving me this opportunity to testify. And thank you, Chairman Hughes, for all your work.
Thank you, Luis. Members, questions for Luis?
Chairman.
All right, Senator Lucio.
Luis, thank you very much. I don't know how many years it's been, but I reminiscing as you speak. You have you and Renee Latta obviously have been around for many years, and I've seen the many hours that you put in, along with others who really want to see any system work. And this is by far one of the most important ones that I too grew up in a household, that preached Americanism, patriotism, and voting, always voting. And I know that all you're looking for is a fair process for all, and especially for the less fortunate in our society who have disabilities. And I think we join you as a whole here to make sure that they're not kept out of the process. I know that as long as I live, whether I'm here or not, I too will look forward to looking at what systems in place in the future that make sure that they're not left out of the process. So I just wanted to thank you in the early morning hours for all you've done over the years. Thank you, Luis.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you for your commitment to working on these issues. I know you've been a champion of voting rights your career in the unfortunate, and people who have been disadvantaged. And oftentimes we can, when we look past the partisanship, we can find solutions. So thank you for your efforts in that regard, and let us know how we can help in that process.
Well, you mentioned Gary Bledsoe, and I have a great deal of respect for him, as you well know, but you made your mark as well. Thank you.